Hey, I guess we're live. Yeah.
We are live. Whoops, sorry.
We're live. Yeah, a couple of things going through my head. Reading a book on psychedelics, on MDMA actually, mostly. And also arguing with my son about MDMA causing brain damage. Apparently it does in rats if they give them pretty high doses.
Yeah, what are the dosage equivalents?
It'd be like, I think some of them were like a person taking 200 milligrams twice a day for, 10 days or something like that. And it kind of fucks things up. But so I don't know. And there were other ones. There's some indication that it will kill neurons, I guess, actually kill neurons, MDMA. But it's interesting because when you rewire your brain, you do tend to kill some neurons. Some neurons die. You cull them out. I don't know. And then you can grow new connections and stuff like that. But anyway, most interesting thing about the book is there is this researcher, I forget her name. She is obsessed with using MDMA to treat things like stroke patients, because she believes that there is some mechanism that opens your brain up again, just like when you were a child and you learned to walk. So she's trying to apply this, and she's going to do some testing. I think she is doing testing now in 2023 for stroke victims to find out if, the thing is they give them a dose of MDMA, which opens up that plasticity period, just like you had when you were a child. And then they work with them with physical therapy, and they have this game, 3D porpoise game that they play.
Uh-huh.
And she's trying to find out, and there seem to be some initial positive results with teaching people how to walk again after a stroke using psychedelic drugs. And she likens that to, you give a person, a PTSD patient, MDMA, and then for the next 3 months, you give them therapy, because during that period, they have opened the gates again so that their mind can now change as if they were a child. And that's her whole thesis. And that is if that turns out to be true, then they also talked about using it to, it's midnight. They also talked about using it to teach people another language, foreign languages.
Hello.
Hey.
It's actually working. Yay.
Wow.
Hello.
Well, that's amazing. It's good to have you, Midnight.
Can't believe you're working.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I would volunteer for that study about learning a foreign language.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're talking about using MDMA for anything that basically involves things that you
Let's sign up.
Huh? Yeah. Like I'm interested in the one for sense of smell, because they're talking about restoring a sense of smell. And they're talking about like when people they're basically they get their eyes repaired, and all of a sudden they can see, but they can never see as good as you could if you grew up seeing, right? So they're talking about using it for that kind of a thing too. And it's amazing. It looks like this year the FDA is going to approve MDMA.
Wait, did you just say that they used MDMA to restore someone's sight?
No, that's what they're working on. No, not to restore your sight, but once they restore your sight by repairing your retina or whatever was wrong with you, then it will basically modify your brain so that you can use vision like a normal person could who developed with a sense of sight. Because the problem they have when they restore vision to these people who have never been able to see,
it fucks with their heads. Yeah, they're not used to it.
Right. They don't have the proper way of seeing. So it could have like application, just tons of applications for rewiring a person's brain. It's like what would it be? Like a super tool, to go in and rewire brains, and not just for psychological problems, but for a number of other things. It's very interesting. I should actually link the book name here.
Yes, you should.
I should link the book name.
For research purposes.
What do we got here? I Feel Love, it's called. MDMA, The Quest for a Connection in a Fractured World. It is called I Feel Love.
Speaking of connection, I did call you this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
I must have been sleeping.
I mean, it was like around like 9:30.
Okay. I was sleeping.
Just 8:30 your time, I guess.
Yeah, because I woke up at 4 o'clock, and I ended up going back to sleep for a while. Oh, let me see if I can put this in here. I
know you have your own topics to talk. Yeah, I'd like to talk about in this stream, but I wanted to talk to you about like this. I was blown away after after I watched this this video on quantum gravity. I don't know if you've ever heard of quantum gravity.
Yeah.
I'm like the 8D the 8D lattice, and how and how our universe is just a 3D shadow of a 4D shadow of an 8-dimensional lotus.
Yep.
Lattice. Sorry, not lotus. Lattice.
Yeah.
and they also fucked me up in a way to learn that a chessboard is basically a crystal, because the pattern just repeats and repeats. If you have like an infinite chessboard, the pattern will repeat. And I was like, so that's what a crystal is. Usually when people think of a crystal, they think of diamonds or exactly a rock, and it's like, wow, okay.
No, a crystal is like a lattice. It has a certain minimal geometry that repeats over and over and over again. And then there's also like fractal crystals where, okay, the lattice repeats, but it repeats into a bigger and bigger pattern, so that the same pattern gathers the little patterns. And anyway, so there's a lot of ways to look at it. But.
Yeah, MDMA and the quest for connection in a broken world, a fractured world.
Yeah, by Rachel Nuwer. And it's a really good history of MDMA and psychedelics and the whole war on drugs. And the whole thing started in, I think, around 1913. And it's been being kicked around ever since. And now this year, the FDA may actually approve it. So
it's about goddamn fucking time. Goddamn. Yeah. Look, I can like understand like drugs like cocaine and everything, those stronger drugs that are actually a problem, being cracked down on. But MDMA, weed, like DMT, LSD, were never that much of a problem.
Yeah.
Like the only reason they became a problem is because people lied about it. Right, there was a campaign to lie about it, to falsify experiments, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, there were like 19 deaths from MDMA in England back in the 80s. So they made a lot of press about that, but then it turns out that there were some 3 million trips that were taken. And most of the deaths were due to being at a rave, dancing your ass off with no ventilation and no water. And people.
But no, Speed. Don't you know? It's MDMA itself that's the problem, not the people, and the fact that they didn't have water, or that. Like no, it's the drug itself. So the drug needs to be banned.
Yeah,
give me a fucking break.
Yep. Why did you put that link in private chat?
I want them to see that you can get to it and open it. It's It's a PDF of Dan McClellan's book, Yahweh's Divine Image, A Cognitive Approach. You can get it, the download for free off of one of his sites. And instead of spending $40 or $50 on Amazon for it, and it's a really good, he has a really good approach to it. And so I just thought I'd get a copy of the PDF and also put it up on
Well, where did you put it? Like, I know you put it on the Horseman, but
yeah, well, you can't. We can't put it out there for our viewers. So,
well, yeah,
right. I want to make sure you can get to it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah. So this is his dissertation.
Well, it's a book. I don't know if it's his dissertation. It's a book he published in 2022. So it's
is it in books?
It's just right under Horseman.
Yeah, and it's I think the name is it starts with Cardinal.
Oh, there it is.
No, that's Daniel Stern Cardinal. He's into genetics, not the Bible. I'm talking about Dan McClellan.
Oh, well, I don't see that.
And it's about how basically the ideas of Yahweh.
In order to find it, Scott, you're going to have to tell us the letter that it starts with.
Y for Yahweh.
Y. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, I can pull it up. Cognitive approach. Interesting. Divine images.
Yeah, in other words, when you think about deity in your mind, what do you see? What do you think of in terms of your language models and the culture behind them? What does that mean? Do you mean the same thing between cultures, and especially between time periods, or how are they different? And basically, taking a cognitive approach to how they might have come about. And he brings up as an interesting point in one of his approaches, I'll say arguments or whatever, the fact that, and I've noticed this about humanity, and I never made that connection or thought to make that connection, how people, when they visit a grave at the cemetery, we'll talk to the headstone of their lost loved one,
right?
And as if they were there, as if they were embodied by that headstone, and it seems to be a universal thing. I never did it. I've done it before, but I never did it thinking my father is in that headstone, or my grandfather is in that headstone, or what have you. It's just something you do.
Well, when a person dies and you stand in front of their body, you will talk to them, right?
Yeah.
So they put them in the ground, and they're in the ground below the headstone. So it just seems like a logical extension to sit out there and talk to the headstone.
Now, what if that person is a powerful person, or some to whose name you attributed great, maybe? So the extension of that into religion within the culture, especially the religions where their gods were more anthropomorphic,
right.
then it makes sense. So he talks about that somewhat in his book, and I look forward to seeing how else he elaborates on those thoughts.
So if you had a like you lived in a village, right, and there was the head of the village, he had the power to grant you several more acres to plant wheat and whatever, or he could hang you, or he could, give you a medal, or, promote you, do whatever. Okay. And say this powerful person died, and you buried him in the center of the village, and you built this huge, you could put up like a cross maybe or something to mark his, where you buried him. Well, then when you wanted a few more acres, it would be a natural extension of our talking to another person who is powerful to go and talk to that person's basically remains, right? So you're talking to remains now. You know he's dead, but you still may think he has enough power to grant you several more acres, even though he died. See what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And that's the kind of wiring that created this whole God idea, that, okay, I mean, I could go up to, we could call him Chief Charlie, and we could go up to Chief Charlie, go to his house and ask him for a couple more acres. Then we find out, oh, hell, Chief Charlie passed away this morning. He had a heart attack. Well, okay, is he still here? Well, yeah, he's laying in the living room, in a state of repose, his body. So you go and ask him anyway. It's like, Chief Charlie, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but if you can hear me, I would like a couple more acres, to plant some more wheat for my family. And then you say, okay, thank you for your time, and you leave, right? So, I mean, yeah, so it's interesting, but that's what we do. We talk to each other. Like I will talk to you as if you actually listen to anything I say. Like I call you up and I say, Scott, and I start whining about my heart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
I immediately put you on hold.
Yeah.
And go about my business, and you're just chatting away.
Exactly the same thing. So it's the same kind of socialization. I mean, we have no evidence that the other person that we're talking to is actually engaging with us or hearing what we say. We have no idea. So, I mean, it's a pretty natural extension to go from that to believing in spirits, that the spirit still remains, even though Chief Charlie is dead and in the living room, and now we're going to bury him. And now we're going to put up a statue of Chief Charlie, and we can pray to that every day, pray for more acres, whatever. So anyway, yeah, cool. So I'll have to look at this. So let's take a little look at it.
Now we just need to do an experiment where we raise children on an island that's cut off from any kind of civilization.
Yeah.
And, have adults present that take care of their necessities and things, but don't tell them about how nature works, or don't tell them about thunder or whatever, and see what kind of beliefs they develop on their own about the weather. And I guess
Scott wants a Lord of the Fly scenario confirmed.
Exactly. Well, no, with a Lord of the Fly with monitors, with chaperones, but
I'm pretty sure they had adults there, but the kids just rebelled. It's been literally years since I read the book, so I could be wrong.
What is deity? Encountering divine agency, deity in the human Bible. Interesting. Yeah. This should be an interesting read. So, do you have a link where people can download this?
Well, if you Google Yahweh's Divine Image, Dan McClellan, there are millions of videos where he's discussed this at length, and they always have a video to download the PDF. So it's out there.
Well, could we give? I'm just
find one and give you the link. I will do that.
Well, yeah, or me. I could do that. Let's see. Do I have Dan? Let me. Wow. Oh no. Google Chrome is doing the old beach ball on me. Oh no, that's not good. That means I might be going dark here pretty quick, guys. I think the problem is that I have this horseman thing up. I think I'm going to shut that down for the time being. Oh my goodness, this has gotten really slow. Can you hear me yet?
I can still hear you.
Okay, so things didn't go to hell. Well, something's going to hell. Something really bad is happening.
Here is the link to the free PDF. It's on the Society for Biblical Literature's website.
Hey, we have David and Deconverted Man's here.
Hey, David. Hey, Deconverted Man.
Okay, where did you put that link?
I'm about to put it in there. I lost my Chrome. I'm trying to find it now. Okay, I'm putting it here in, let's see,
Private. And then put it in public, because then I can copy it and put it in the description. So midday. We got sidetracked from your quantum gravity talk.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I just find it very interesting, especially the part about reality being made out of essentially what are called pixels. They're 3D. I believe they're in the shape of tetrahedrons. You know, they're equilateral. Yeah, and one of the pieces of evidence they have for that is the Planck length, because the Planck length is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
it's the tiniest amount of space you can have in the universe. The tiniest unit of space.
Something like that, yes.
Is my understanding of it.
I am having ridiculous trouble here. Holy shit.
That's okay. We still love you.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. Oh, yeah. So, what was it? 2 years ago, my kidney tried to kill me. Then my gallbladder tried to kill me. Now my heart is trying to kill me.
You will survive. You will be victorious.
I will be victorious. Yeah.
Your organs are organizing against you.
Yeah. Okay, so I posted that in the description of this video. But Chrome was really beach balling on me a lot here. I'm going to have to shut some shit down. Oh, let me see here. What can I do? Anyway. Yeah, but that's interesting. You know, when we learn to socialize with other human beings and we learn, you know, theory of mind, we have this idea that they're thinking about something and we have to guess what they're thinking about because we can't see it, right? And this bleeds into this discussion I've been having on one of these YouTube channels about idealism with a couple of people. And we're talking about, you know, how do you observe what is in your own mind? You obviously can only infer what is in another person's mind. And do we do that the same way with ourselves? Like, if I infer that you have some private idea in your mind, and then I stop to think, oh, what is my idea? Like, if you have a private idea of the elephant you are seeing, I will stop to think, oh, what is my private idea of the elephant? And is it the same as Scott's idea and Midnight's idea? So you get into some really interesting psychology there. And I think that is all at the core of this fight we have with consciousness and what is consciousness. Because it becomes something of an object that we think we can apprehend or acquire. So it's kind of interesting. You see where I'm going there? And it ties into your Yahweh book, right? Because this idea that there is a spirit mind means that the spirit mind can leave the body, or the spirit mind can be the source of the universe, the creator of the universe, or the spirit mind can be the dead chief who's laying in the graveyard and he still allocates acres to each individual. I mean, it's all connected in how we socialize. And it turns out most of our psychology is based on socializing with others, talking to others.
Yep.
All of our guilt, our shame, most of what we're concerned about is what others think of us. It's me, 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 me. You know, enough about me. What do you think of me? Me, me, me. And the God thing is kind of the same way. You know, we want to imagine that there is this loving God who's thinking about us and loves us still. We're very invested in what other people think of us. Deconverted man.
Well, we are very selfish.
Yeah.
Like, not in a bad way selfish, but just selfish in general, I guess.
Yeah, but we're necessarily selfish. The only thing we can do is operate our own muscles and limbs and and vocal cords. And Deconverted Man is here.
What's up?
What's up?
So yeah, I did a routine examination that they needed to do on me a while back, and they put me under for that. And so I was trying to really focus on, what that was, because it'd been years since I'd gone under last time. It was like when I was 18, and so that's like remove this tiny bone fragment from my arm or whatever.
Yeah.
And anyway, so like, okay, count backwards. You're not going to even get to like 80 or whatever. And I was like, okay, 199. I'm like, I don't want to do that in my head. And I looked up at the ceiling, like, and then I felt this like, it's like static or foaming bubbles inside my head. Like it's like really hard to describe the feeling I felt,
Okay.
like maybe your arm going to sleep or something like that. And I'm like, that's an interesting sensation. And that was that. And then it was like, hey, wake up. Okay, you're done. And I'm like, huh? What? Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they put you out for surgery, you are.
That's like, it. Yeah, there was.
And it seems like you're more dead than you are when you're sleeping.
Well, I mean, because it was like I was there and I felt this like kind of like foaming up, nice tingly sensation. It felt great. I was like, oh, that's an interesting sensation. That was like the last thing that I thought, and then that was it. And
when I've had procedures done, they'll put me asleep, and then I wake up and I'm not sleepy at all, and I just get really pissed because I didn't get to enjoy the free drug, zonk out.
Yeah.
The free drug nap.
Yep, it happens.
Well, it's like there wasn't a me there during that time, even though my body was there and everything, but I wasn't there as far as my awareness wasn't there. So it's just, trying to understand. It's like, well, what is it to be not,
Yeah.
It's like, and this guy had this video put out, the tiers he ranked the different types of afterlives on those, S rank and A and B and C, that whole thing. And he said something, he had a couple of quotes that I thought was interesting. One was Norm Macdonald said, like, you and death will never intersect. Because when you're there, death isn't. When death is, you're not. Right. And I thought, that's pretty deep. And, it's been said before by some other, philosopher before that. But, everything's been said probably. But yeah, I mean, it's like I didn't even know that I wasn't there to know anything. I was just like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, woke up and was like, oh, okay, I'm here again. So if there hadn't been that I'm here again, then that's that. That's what that is, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah, it's really kind of comforting. Okay, I've been thinking a lot about dying and what it's like, and I've come to terms with it in that it's really none of my business what happens after I die. So when I die, it's like punching out at work or like quitting, your last day at a job, where you have all this, oh God, I got to worry about this and I got to make sure that the shelves are stocked and all that. And on your last day, when you walk out to the parking lot, the last day you just got fired, you're walking out in the parking lot, you're like, I really don't give a fuck about anything in that store.
Yeah.
And that's the neat thing about death is that you won't care about your death. You won't care about your future plans.
Yeah.
I want to be around to see this, to find out if this crazy fucking company really reelects Trump, and all that stuff. You don't care. You just have no concern. And it is very comforting when you really wrap your head around how easy dying is and how absolutely liberating it is, you know? And it's just like we have, you know, and that kind of relates.
It's not you that you're worried about. It's everybody that's left behind, really.
Yeah.
I guess it would, and also like the way you go out. I hope that wouldn't be painful, you know.
Yeah, with that last 5 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever it is. You know?
That. But I mean, you know, but even worrying about what other people do after you're gone. Think forward 300 years when, you know, those people are all gone. Nobody remembers them. And it's like, so the instant you die, you step off the ledge into eternity, because the moment, like 5 minutes after you die, is going to be no different to you than when the heat death of the universe happens. So time just all of a sudden becomes not an important thing, right? So now all of a sudden you're in eternity. I mean, it's no different to you whether
you're back to being whatever the sum total of reality is.
Yeah. And it's really, really fucking cool.
And if there was any awareness there, we wouldn't. I mean, there's goodness knows, you know, well, maybe it's hiding behind the background radiation or something. I don't know, but you know, there's nothing to do about that because there's no, you know, there's no proof of that. So it's like, well, it's nice to think about in a way, but it's like, well, I can't just choose to believe it because it sounds nice or whatever. That's what. But yeah, and also I put in the private chat the link to the guy's video I was talking about, the tier list of afterlives. I mean, it might be worth doing for us to do at some point. It's like rank the different afterlife scenarios. Like, where would you put it? But one of the things that was interesting is like, okay, you have a friend that you really care about, and he's going to another solar system, and you know that you're never going to see them or be able to talk to them again, right? And so from your perspective, you know, they're gone and you won't speak to them, right? And that's that. But as they go off in the rocket, they just go to the other solar system. But scenario 2 is the same thing, but this time the rocket explodes in midair. And from your point of view, like, there is a difference. And I was like, well, what is that? You know, there's a different feeling from imagining that scenario. It's like, well, I guess because from one, I could think, well, they're, you know, maybe they're dead out there, but I don't know, you know, I hope they're, you know, I don't know. So what's that about? What's that feeling? Why does that feel different in my head?
Yeah. You know, this, and that kind of gets back to what I was talking about before, this idea of other minds. And this idea of other minds thinking about us or being somewhere, experiencing something. And like, you know, if I cut your head off and freeze it and send it off toward an, and I better not say anything else.
They used to think that your head stayed alive when it was cut off. I don't know if that was ever proven or disproven.
No, but do you know what I'm talking about? Have you watched it, the series? Okay, we're not going to mention the series.
Okay,
I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're doing, you know, this guy's just got a chip or something in him that he can now play or mess with use his mind to really, like, they did it before, but this is like more advanced than it was before, where he can really control, you know, the computer. Like he's able to play Mario Kart now and stuff like this with just his mind. And they've had that before, but this is like even more advanced apparently.
Yeah.
So it's like you'll be able to have a chip in you that you could just like turn on car and you know, whatever. And of course that's the end times. That you're going to use that to pay money with. It's like, it'd be pretty safe if you could just go pay money, think, and it's paid, you know. It'd be very safe. Nobody could take it, you know. The world, the eclipse was supposed to be like something was going to happen. All these red cows hanging around. I don't know. Nothing's happened. Kind of disappointed.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Well, did you hear about Fox News? They had a real fear. Jon Stewart covered it during the eclipse. They were worried that because of Biden's immigration policy, that tons of cartels were going to be transferring drugs, and all kinds of criminals were going to be running across the border during the eclipse.
Oh yeah, no one can see them because nighttime never happens.
Right. So they've been waiting for 300 years or 100 years or whatever for the.
Now's their chance. They can't see. It's dark.
We know, except for that. Except if the night were 4 minutes longer, the Border Patrol people would just totally lose it and lose control. Yeah. And so that's why the eclipse was so terrible to them.
Yeah.
It gives them that 4 minute edge they just needed.
Yeah. So, and they were all just.
All the werewolves are the ones you have to be worried about.
Yeah.
Not sure what happens to them during an eclipse. Like, does that count? The moon's out. So if you're a werewolf.
Doubting Thomas is here. You had a comment about drugs, and then you said, "Well, I'm not into drugs." So I don't.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because you guys were kind of talking about the psychedelics and all that. I'm not really into that sort of scene. I don't really have anything to add to that. So, I mean, I think it should be well regulated and whatnot, and that there'd be programs for people to get on, and that way be safe. But there's money to be made, so that's not going to happen. I don't know.
Well, no, there's money to be made. So
there's money to be made either way, but right now the money to be made is in certain people that are very powerful's hands that don't want that to go away. And, goodness knows how, who's controlling what these days. I don't know. It's captive desk. He's in charge.
There's money to be made, and that's why they're going to keep it regulated. And my argument is that.
But I mean, the unregulated, maybe they'll keep that unregulated because there's more money than, I don't know. I mean,
no,
go either way with it.
There's more money in regulation.
Okay.
Because if an average person can basically grow their own weed and smoke it, then that's a problem. And that's a problem that the big corps have to solve because we don't.
Because they could grow it better and faster, and and we can make
it safer and more regulated. And what about the children?
Well, we could give it to them, shut them up.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, wait, you mean what about you don't want them to have it? Is that what you're saying?
Give it to them. Doubting Thomas, so why did you quit taking psilocybin? I don't know. First,
welcome to the Mushroom Hour, folks.
Mushroom Hour.
Dave, how's it going?
Yeah. A little bit chilly here today, but
Dave's here.
Next week is supposed to be nice, so.
I think the rule should be if you can't spell the drug, you're not allowed to take it.
Or if you can't spell while you're on the drug.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, when the doctor asks you, what drugs are you taking? And it's like, the one that starts with, no vowels.
Yeah. I think there's letters in it. I'm not sure.
How's everybody else doing? What you guys talking about?
What it's like to be BatS T.
We're just basically talking about what comes to the top of our heads.
Oh, yeah. No, I did the moral thing. I thought I saw you in the chat real brief, CD.
I was listening to you.
Yeah. Same old nothing argument. He was explaining it, so he wasn't really trying to give the argument, I guess. So, but whatever, it still wasn't a very good explanation either. Oh, jeez. It's just good because we know it's right. I'm like, yeah, that's how that works. I can just declare things are true. Don't have to prove it. And I love that.
I drop into CDM as long as he's not doing that early AM stuff. It's like, why you're up at that ungodly hour. I have no idea.
If I am, then it means I did not fall asleep. That's what that means. Means I've been up all night, and I'm like, oh, it's time to make a video. That's what that means. Or rarely it's that I woke up at that time.
Now, Mike, would you describe yourselves as never having a bad trip on psilocybin, at least on this last epoch in your life where you've been experimenting? Allegedly. Is Mike with us? He disappeared.
Yeah. It's hard.
I guess he doesn't want to talk about it.
His organs got to him.
It happens when you take too many mushrooms. You just disappear.
I guess so. You just go away.
Yeah. We should eat him.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of the fungus. Sorry.
That's still my favorite go-to for what happened to Jesus' body is they ate him. Yeah.
Well, there is a whole doctrine about that.
Yeah, he said to do it, so they ate him. That's why they couldn't find the body. They ate him, and then he was in them, so he was still alive. Yeah.
I was just watching Tour and Lennox. There's a part in there I want to make a video on.
Freaking Lennox.
Both of them go on and on. Why do you believe in Jesus? The resurrection, the resurrection, the resurrection, the resurrection. I didn't count how many times, but they had to say it dozens of times.
Has Lennox ever said anything about mathematics once? Any
just that he has a couple papers he wrote.
Yeah.
And he translated Russian mathematics. I guess that's his big claim to fame.
Wow. I've never even seen a paper that he has on it. It's like, oh, what has he done with this, thing that you have? It's like you didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, well,
so Lennox, I take it's a mathematician of some sort.
Yeah, that's his. That's how they always introduce him. It's like, oh, here's this mathematician, professor, whatever.
And now he's going to tell you all about cosmology and biology and how evolution is stupid.
And know about, yeah.
Well, speaking of math, Zach Hancock did a pretty interesting and accessible breakdown of Fisher's theorem, which is a population genetics concept that describes mathematically natural selection, or it can be derived from that or something. I'll have to watch it again, but talk about making hard concepts accessible. Check out, I'd recommend the Zach Hancock channel, and check out how, because he just makes it in 1 hour. He proves that you don't have to have any presuppositions to about anything to show that Fisher's rule is effective or whatever. Obviously, I need to watch it again because I'm not summing it up very well.
What was it called? I know there's the idea of Plato's forms with numbers existing. Is there a technical term to that I can't remember? Like the belief that numbers are real beyond.
Realism. Yeah, I think it's a realist. You're.
Well, I mean, like not not real. It's just in your head, but like sort of like Plato's forms, or like they exist in the universe.
They're actual, yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know about that. I
watched a video about that. What I think they are is numbers have become so
description of a thing
integral into our dealing with the world and our perception of the world that we're able to map them. We have to map them out due to learning and culture and experience, but we've done it so much since humans became Homo sapiens that there's just it's an easier pathway for us to make, and therefore it seems weird and real in our brain. So numbers
I remember
have to be real.
I know that the way it's like learning math, like with apples or whatever, it was like, then we got to like negative numbers, that didn't make any sense. I'm like, you can't have minus apple, so they had to like we're gonna talk about like money, you can owe people money, like what?
Yeah, you can owe people apples.
Yeah, you could owe people apples. Like, why didn't you start us out with that idea instead of going this way and making it harder? Why does my face when it's shrunk down like this look like a pig? These are the questions I have.
It's probably speed.
Yeah. No, really.
Yeah, math has a great place in explaining a lot of things. The problem I have is when they start saying, well, the probabilities of, everything coming into just the right place for us to be here and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but you can use those numbers for just about anything.
Yeah. We could, all the way to the orbit of, I think, even closer than Venus, we'd be fine. And even further away, we'd still be fine. We'd still pretty much be the same people.
Well, even our orbit varies by how much. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if it had always been like in the orbit of Venus, we would have evolved, if not exactly the same, pretty darn close, I would think. I don't know if anyone's ever done the model of that or anything, but
Mike said he's rebooting.
Oh, okay, that works.
Be back in a minute.
I think it's back on, but he didn't change his label, so he's labeled as Scott without an avatar.
Mm.
So it's just all fucked up there.
Hate when that happens. Here we go. Lobster. That's better. You should debunk the lobsteress. That's what you guys should do because it's never been done. So that will teach people what it's like to be bat starstruck.
Well, that's what we should do. We should debate Bigfoot and the lobster because nobody. I want to have a Bigfoot debate, and nobody will debate Bigfoot.
Yeah, I'll debate like Bigfoot's existence using the let's see.
I go either way. I go pro or con. Oh, there was a flicker of life.
I tried to put him up there, and then he got shy.
There's got to be an apologetic argument out there for Bigfoot.
Okay.
I'm sure there are.
Am I back?
You're back.
You're back.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I had beach balls for a long time, so the internet was obviously failing, and then it beach ball. You know what a beach ball is?
I think you need to see a doctor.
So apparently you're a Windows guy. So you've never seen the Apple beach ball?
Oh, okay.
Must be a warning.
Yeah.
Oh, it means that it's waiting, that something is slowed up and it's waiting. So
no, I see. With Windows, it's just you don't even know that you're toast. You just
right.
You're like everything's fine. And you're just it's like, oh, why is nothing moving? Oh, okay.
Maybe I'll have a little better luck here. Anyway, what'd I miss?
We explained how reality really functions. You missed it. We can't repeat it.
Yeah. We've got reality taken care of, so we're going to have to change the motif and topic of our channel.
Yeah.
Right.
We solved all the problems while you were gone.
Yeah. It was quite a simple solution.
It was actually really easy too. It was quite. I was really.
I have a question for you, Mike. The whole right brain and left brain thing.
Yep.
Are artistic people more right-brained than left-brained and all these kind of things?
I don't think that would be a good
It's actually been kind of debunked.
Has it?
Yeah, but
didn't they have the hemisphere things kind of show that to some extent?
Oh, the hemispheres do show that, but there's a lot of communication between them.
Ah, but I mean, if you cut them in half.
And we can't really say whether a person is using more one side of their brain than the other. I mean, it's so much more complicated than that it doesn't make sense to say such silly.
Reality is like a relationship status on Facebook. Complicated.
What is it that allows, like, in my brain? Is it chemical electrical process? Like, what is it that's being done to, like, say, keep a memory or whatever? Is that something we know, or is that like?
Yeah, we have a pretty good idea, but okay. Keeping a memory, the way the memory. Oh, let's talk about AI for a minute, okay? you got an input
Devil.
layer, and then you've got a bunch of layers in the middle, right? That are a whole bunch of neural connections going every which way, and each one has a little bit of a weight. And then you have an output. Okay, so you show the AI an image, and then the output says, oh, it's a cat. We have no idea what is going on in the middle layer mathematically, okay? And if you did have an idea, if you knew the weight of every connection, you would not be able to figure out how the AI is recognizing a cat, okay? So that's how our memories are. If we were to look at a brain and figure out where they are exactly, like where that memory of you with a little red wagon when you were a little boy, we would never be able to make sense of looking at the neurons and saying, oh, that's a memory of a little red wagon with a little boy pulling a red wagon. So, okay, there's that. But then when you recall a memory, okay, now you're pulling it up and you're interacting with your visual system and with the world around you that you're seeing now. And it makes sense to you. You feel like you remember it in detail. Sometimes you feel like you remember it in more detail than you actually do. So it gets really kind of squishy.
So it's not like a photographic memory. It's a pieced together memory.
Kind of, yeah. And it interacts with what's going around with you right now. Like, okay, if I think of a little red wagon, I'm actually looking around me in space, and I'm kind of putting that red wagon in the space that I'm in right now, except that it's not really there, right? I'm remembering it.
Right. So if they ask you, where's the place in the brain where this memory is, there's not really a place.
Right. It's all
It
over.
seems to be
It's all over.
It seems to be everywhere. Right. And the interesting thing is that say you remember your birthday. Okay, but then you remember again. Each time you're remembering it, the memory is a little different, but
right.
you really don't notice because, you know what I mean? It's you still remember your birthday.
Yeah, you modify the memory every time you recall it, and it becomes and like if you're remembering I'm remembering a red wagon right now. I'm also out of my peripheral vision. I can see my red kitty qualia cup. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
If they recorded, your activity, your brain activity, and then fed it back to you later, would you experience the same thoughts that you had earlier?
No, because for a couple of kind of like if they took your
by that?
Okay, if they took your entire brain and they were able to 5 minutes or 20 minutes from now play that back so that your brain was doing exactly the same thing, you would probably feel like you were doing the same thing over again, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to go.
But you really wouldn't be, because in that 20 minutes where your brain was changing. So your brain changes all the time. Every second your brain is changing. So you can never have the same experience.
I mean, I'd argue every millisecond, but semantics.
Because I saw again lately that they were talking more about the different devices that try to using AI now to record dreams or thoughts of people even when they're awake, and it's getting better at they think it's getting better at doing it now. Whether it is or not, I mean, that's kind of hard to say. Like I say, okay, I'm thinking, think of a dog, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about a dog, and it's like, then the AI is like, here's what happened. I think he's thinking of a dog, and it's I guess there be a lot of double blind required for it, but
they're getting some
wild.
of they're getting some of the coarse grain stuff. Like they can tell that you're thinking about a red wagon, and AI could learn that, because when you think about it, huh?
Did you name your red wagon?
Well, when I was a little boy, we had red wagons that were called Flyer something.
Radio Flyer.
Radio Flyer, and that's what I'm imagining that, right? Because that's one of my memories. And anyway, the AI could learn that because your visual system, as it turns out, when you remember something, you actually project back to your visual system in somewhat the same way as it would be if you actually saw a red wagon. So it's
like you see it. It's like you see it overlaid over your vision, kind of, right?
Yeah, and it actually turns on your primary visual cortex a little bit, so they can figure shit like that out. That's why I think the government is probably doing it right now. But if they were to interrogate a person that planted a detonation device somewhere, they could ask him a few questions and show him a few movies, and they could figure out where he put it, because we're getting pretty good at that visual mapping. But the other areas of your brain ain't going to be as easy to figure out what people are thinking.
Kind of frightening in a way, yeah.
It is, yeah. But I mean, the other areas of your brain other than the visual, it isn't going to be as easy. So it's going to be a hell of a lot harder. They could probably do the same thing with music, so I could figure out what song you were playing in your head. But they're not going to be able to do it with what you're plotting about or what you think of me, that sort of thing, right? That's going to be a lot more difficult to learn. But what always fascinated me. A couple of years ago, I've seen this. They're working on this machine that actually allows you to like learn faster, right? They put you in this machine. They put things on your brain. So if you want to learn mathematics, right, they'll teach you mathematics. They'll teach you mathematics simply by stimulating your brain. Like imagine having a machine like that teach you the foundation of a subject, which then makes it easier to learn more on it. That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Plug me in. I want to learn all the languages.
Exactly. I know Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I know Kung Fu. I know all the languages.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, that there's a possibility that MDMA and some psychedelics will allow you to learn foreign languages faster. And like after you take a dose for the next month, you could probably be in a position where you could learn something more quickly.
So basically,
go ahead.
All right, I gotta go. See you guys. Bye.
What do you mean you gotta go?
I guess I should test everything.
Goodbye. You gotta go poof. Poof? I hope he said poof. Anyway. So
the lobster signal went off.
The lobster signal. Oh, okay. He's wanted somewhere in the universe. He has to go solve a problem. Probably somebody sinned on some alien planet.
Yeah, and I brought it up because Lennox was talking about, it's proven that the brain, this and that, an artist and all that. And I was like, I don't think that's proven.
Yeah.
He's a blowhard, though. I mean,
artists are really good at their visual system, and they're capable of projecting good vision backwards. Like some of them, that have been trained that way are really good at putting together an entire image in their head and then transferring it to paper. And I'm not. And then musicians are really good at doing that with sound. So you can develop those skills. You can make them a lot better so that you can imagine things in more and more detail. And essentially the brain is like the Swiss Army knife, right? Of sensory input and output. You can train your brain for all kinds of skills.
But then there's the limit too, because it's like you said, though, you can, I can have the stuff in my head, but I can't play the music. You know what I mean? It's like, and some people just seem to have a different connection somehow, where.
Yeah. Do you know what that is? They were trained very early with those skills. So when you're in that window of super,
but even a buddy of mine though, he picked up learning guitar when he was older.
Yes.
And he does it pretty good. So
Some people just seem to have more neural plasticity as they grow up, while others just lose it over time. Believe me, it's fucking annoying.
Yeah, well, that could be too. But the thing is, Dave, you're a lot better at it when you're 2 and 3 years old and 4 years old than you are when you're an adult.
my stick figures still look the same.
But there's a reason for that. Okay. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why your neuroplasticity gets less and less as you get older, because you can't afford to have too much neuroplasticity if you want to survive in the world. You can't rewire everything every day. You have to keep the skills that you have. So it becomes less and less fluid as you get older. And by the time you're 25, 30, you pretty much settle down. And then to turn it on and learn an instrument is going to be a lot harder for you. But what they're saying is that the psychedelic drugs can turn it on at a higher level than what we normally perceive.
And it makes sense that as you get older, the neuroplasticity, goes down, because as you said, you need to learn the skills to survive. If you're constantly forgetting skills, then
Right.
How the fuck are you gonna survive?
Yeah, you can't rewire everything all of the time.
But
So it's giving you a reboot then, and you're getting a second chance because it's giving you more pathways to explore where otherwise you wouldn't have those.
I don't know. There's something else that stops people from. There's something else that that also like lowers neuroplasticity, right? And that's the fear of failure. Right, when you were a baby, when you were young, you are fearless. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted, and you can learn it. Like you wanna go to the moon, you can go to the moon. Not literally, but you know what I mean. Just it's time, when as time goes on, and the people around you just drill into you how much of a failure you are, or it like you get what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So I want to comment on that, and I want you to listen to me. Your fear of failure is a skill that you learned. You learned how to be afraid.
Yes, I know.
Okay. So can you learn a new skill now? Do you think you could learn how to use chopsticks? Or I could. I'm not sure if I could. But could you learn a new skill? Could you learn a new skill?
Okay, well, I'm trying to answer you, Speed.
Answer.
If I couldn't learn a new skill, I never would have been able to learn the skills I've needed to cope with the amount of trauma I've been through my entire life. So yes, I can learn new skills.
Okay, so then you can learn the skill of not being afraid of failure.
I never said you couldn't. I'm just saying that's why people don't. It's because of the fear of failure.
I'm not accusing you. What I want to talk about is mental illness. Okay. Mental illness is basically a skill that we have learned. In some cases, mental illness is caused by a physiological or genetic imposition that makes it very, very difficult. So I do not want to discount that. But there is a lot of normal neuroses. Let's call it neuroses rather than mental illness. People that are neurotic, or people that are, say, Trump supporters, could learn a new
really
skill. Yeah, could learn
irrational fears.
Right.
Yeah, you can unlearn it pretty easy if they have a lot of therapy to get over it.
Like, I think about a third or maybe even 40% of the country right now is afraid of immigrants. We're afraid of immigration. Oh my God, our culture is going away. Rapists and drug cartels are coming across the border.
Who has the mic on?
Huh?
Does anyone else hear a dog?
Oh, that's probably Scott.
Not me.
No, I'm muted.
Oh, okay.
Mike.
What?
I think this kind of ties into what you were just saying. It struck me at the core.
Good.
I think I may be addicted to depression.
Yep, exactly.
I knew you would understand exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, over the last 17 years.
It takes it to depression. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
over the last 17 years, one thing I learned about my depression is that as soon as I get down a little bit, like my body says slow down a little bit, it's almost like I pull up a notebook in my mind and I say, I am depressed. And then I start cycling through that depression
Oh my God,
and making
man.
it worse. And you know what? I've just been reading about the brain mechanism that does that. There's an actual loop in your brain with about 5 moving parts where one part kicks off the next part and then it goes and it feeds back into the cycle. So what you end up doing is you become more depressed because you're depressed. Now
We're
all
going
of a
to
sudden,
talk about this more.
yeah,
Sometime. Yes.
yeah. There's the anterior cingulate cortex is one part where we have empathy for other people. And what that does to us is all of a sudden we'll start thinking about all the bad things that happen to other people and to ourselves. And we have empathy, and that empathy feeds back into the circuit, and it makes the depression more powerful every time it goes around.
Oh my God! Stop exposing me, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's something you could do about it. It's a skill that you learned, and
Exactly.
you can learn.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I
Well,
want to talk to you more
psychology and all that proves that you can unlearn these things. So
Yeah.
about. I'm seeing a psychologist, but it would be more prosperous for me at this point just to talk to Speed, I think.
Yeah,
My chopped liver.
I've been in psychotherapy since I've been 16 years old, and it did about diddly squat for me over the years.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it was like
man.
a very small bandage on a big gaping wound.
you would
Well,
think that it's like a good psychologist would be hard to find because they would have to have a good, understanding of all these things you're talking about, and then be able to, make it on an individual basis, because
I mean,
everybody's issues are a little bit different.
And they'd have to
Every
live in
time-
Minnesota.
every time I went to therapy, I was more busy. I was more busy talking about psychology than my own problems. So it's like it didn't really help.
Yeah. I don't know. I've had a couple of transformative experiences in the last couple of years where I have completely rewired certain things that have plagued me all of my life. And I have done that with
Preach.
help with psychedelics. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm going to talk about fucking mushrooms again.
I was gonna, yeah. Are you still doing that?
I am, yeah. And in fact, I've done some new experiments just recently, which I'm pretty impressed with. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like what happened to me, but the result seems to be pretty powerful. So
That's why I quit taking psilocybin. You were asking me that question.
what's that? Yeah.
I quit because I had some really bad trips, but also some really, I don't know, deep experiences, I guess.
Yep.
Not with God, just with,
with
my
yourself.
own mind.
With yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Every time I take mushrooms, like my son, on a Sunday night, will know that I'm going to take mushrooms, and he'll call down and say, "Well, have a good time." And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me? That's not what happens when I take mushrooms. It's not a good time."
I kind of want to maybe explore using them therapeutically, but I'm fucking scared shitless because
well,
I don't know. I took way too many mushrooms when I was very young, like fucking 16, 17, 18.
yeah, when I got back into it, the first thing I did is I only took 1 gram.
Right.
And looking back, I probably should have taken a half, because it was the 1 gram turned out to be a pretty powerful experience. But at 1 gram, I was manageable. So one thing you can do with these things is you can modify the dose that you take. You can dip one toe in at a time. The other thing that you need to do is hook yourself up with a psychedelic therapist, and there's a ton of them out there right now.
Right.
That you can talk to after the fact, right? Okay. And there's also some resources that I found where you have trip sitters that will talk to you online. They help. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But you hook up with a therapist that you can talk to. And then the third thing you need to do is you need to figure out what your intent is. Before you go into the experience, you don't eat for 6 hours. Okay. You figure out what is it that I would like to think about or like to do.
Right.
9 times out of 10, the mushrooms will take you in an entirely different direction. But over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, you will find out that it was the right direction that you needed to go in.
Oh, wow.
And it's really
the most profound experience I had was, and this was over 40 years ago, I think. I ate a bunch of shrooms and went to a store with my buddies, and we were playing a video game. And when the mushrooms really hit me, I felt like I was wearing a mask, like I was actually looking through 2 holes of a Halloween mask.
right.
And I realized there was that the world saw a different person than who I really was. There were actually 2 of me. There was the person that everybody else saw.
Right.
And then there is a person that nobody could ever possibly know.
Yeah.
And it fucking, man.
That's neat.
Oh, but it rocked. It wasn't neat at the time. It was like, holy fuck, I am way too fucking high, man.
Yeah, the first thing that happened to me is I found all these pieces of me, and that's about the only way I can explain it. And each piece of me had something to do with other people in the world in my life, and I realized that none of that was me. That I was, this thing right here, right now, but I had all these little pieces of me that I basically had gathered over a lifetime. And I was operating according to what those pieces of me thought I should be. And then I started casting them out one at a time. And I got to this this sense of I am like whole right now in this moment. Like I brought my entire past and somehow integrated that whole tapestry into my current sense of self. And I did it deliberately, and I kept the pieces I wanted, and I got rid of the pieces that weren't serving me. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. And that kind of explains what psychotherapy is supposed to do for you.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, people who go to psychotherapy expect the psychotherapist to do the work for them.
Right. And and the psychotherapist doesn't really have a clue what the pieces of you are to begin with, and you're going to have trouble figuring out what those pieces are too, because the one thing that psychedelics do for you is they allow you to kind of stand outside of yourself and take a different view of the whole thing, right? The whole landscape. And I don't know.
Azo just sent me Hovind on his Bigfoot theories video clip.
Hovind has Bigfoot theories?
How is he still relevant? I see
he's in a suit. He's in a suit, so it has to be something old.
I see Dapper Dino still make videos on Ken Hovind. The latest part was a parody of Deep Space Nine.
I saw it. Yeah,
it was like, okay, that's.
What is it? Getting bent with Kent or something like that? He calls him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instant migraine from shrooms. I had somebody else talk about that too, that they got a headache from it.
They bother my stomach.
Yeah, it might trigger. Well, you gotta prepare.
I know you told me I didn't do it right.
Right, you gotta prepare them properly. Just fucking eat a crusty old dried fucking piece of mushroom and expect your stomach not to say fuck you. Anyway, I have a friend or actually an acquaintance that said something about headaches with microdosing mushrooms. But yeah, I'm obviously I drank the Kool-Aid on psych.
It's all them neurons, man. They're expanding too fast, and your brain pressure's out of whack.
Yeah, my neurons are growing so fast they're pressing against the outside of your skull.
Were you able to see any of the eclipse up there, Mike?
I went out and sat in the yard, and it seemed like it was overcast, and it just seemed like it got more overcast for about an hour, and then it went away.
Mm.
So I was out there I didn't see a thing, so didn't get it.
We had some clouds, but it showed through enough that we could see it, and we saw the rings after and everything. And
yeah,
so
I was too worried. I was too worried about what was going on at the southern border to think about the eclipse.
There was no Bigfoot showed up though.
It was a real downer thinking about all those immigrants just crossing over that border. Overwhelming.
Pouring across this big horde, this big crowd, almost like you're in the mosh pit at a fucking Led Zeppelin concert, you know? It's just like they're pouring over the border. Things we have to be concerned about.
Yeah, that one guy that does the on the street stuff, that comedian, he was asking the people in line. So, and he plays along, So about all these immigrants, what are we going to do about it? Tell me about your personal experience with the immigrants. Have they taken your job? And all these things.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He couldn't find a single one that had a personal experience with an immigrant affecting anything whatsoever that had to do with their lives.
Yeah, well, that's why I haven't done a lot of YouTube lately, is because the immigrants are taking over YouTube, and I just don't have room. They push me out.
Well, they'll always find some immigrant that committed a crime, and it's like, see, it's like, well, then we could throw everybody out because anybody could commit a crime.
Yeah, what if we could find an actual bona fide citizen that committed a crime?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't know. Be hard to find, right?
Yeah, you'd never see one.
Yeah.
Well, if there's any honest intent, they're hoping eventually to become a citizen. So you don't want to screw up. You know what I mean? You want to keep low, keep on the down low, right? Keep quiet. Don't make a stir or nothing. Don't have the cops showing up and trying to run who you are or anything, right? I mean, it's just not a good plan.
Yep. So
we need more crime from the citizens.
Yeah. Oh my God! In Minneapolis here, there's a couple of a whole bunch of gangs that are fighting, and they're kind of on two sides, and they keep running by each other's houses and shooting bullets into them, and they keep hitting little kids. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? We segued off the topic of mental illness, but I mean, mental illness takes all sorts of forms. Like, for instance, a person that is out there in traffic and somebody cuts in front of them because somebody needs to get into the lane and they see an opening, and that person loses their shit. That is mental illness. Okay. And these are things that we can change about ourselves and about our brains. We can actually change our brains to accommodate some of that stuff. And if you don't want to do it with psychedelics, for fuck's sake, do it with something. But you can change your brain, and we can change the kind of person we are. We can change our beliefs. We can change a ton of things that are creating problems for ourselves and others in our relationships. And because the brain is very plastic, that's the one main thing that we have to understand, is that
neuroplasticity.
When you're born, your brain is like a piece of clay, and it molds to whatever environment it's in. And then you become an adult, and then it gets a little harder. That clay is a little harder to mold, but you can still fucking mold it. You can still change your mind. And that is the good news for anybody that's suffering. So, like, it's really weird. A lot of us, in the United States, we have all the food, clothing, housing, everything we need. And we suffer from ourselves. We self-suffer. And we don't know how to get out of self-suffering. And there are ways out of self-suffering. It takes a lot of work. And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, but you can change. a lot of things. And you know, that would cover maybe 90% of the neuroses in the world. And then, of course, the other 10% are people who are born with a neurotransmitter system that's not working properly, that are going to need a little additional help from medication or whatever. But I mean, I think 90% of us could be happier if we knew that we could be happier. The fucking thing about my youth, you know, like my 20s, I was a goddamn, I hurt myself in many ways. I tried to hurt myself mortally. I guess it's unpopular to say the word on YouTube, but I tried to hurt myself a number of ways, and I was suffering horribly. And I didn't know. I thought I was stuck with that. I thought that is what I am. That is who I am. And there's nothing I can do about it. And then when I sobered up 17 years ago, I think 17 years and 12 days ago, I found out that I could actually change a lot of things about myself, and that I had the power to no longer make myself suffer, no longer be depressed every goddamn night, no longer be in just absolute grief over my daughter and have it almost kill me, right? I mean, I had the power to change these things. And that was the most important thing that I've learned in my latter life, is that I don't have to be a fucking miserable asshole. You know, I can.
And I'm glad you're not a miserable asshole.
Yep. I just found out I could have heart disease of some sort that's creating problems for me. And
you turn your monitor in?
I did, yeah, and they found out that my heart's all fucked up.
Well, unlike O.J. Simpson, you will be missed.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah. OJ, poor OJ.
That was my comment, was good riddance.
Poor OJ.
He gained his last 2 yards.
He tried on his last set of tight-fitting gloves. Yeah. Anyway, but who gives a shit? The thing is, it's like, right. If I mean, this could mean that I'm not gonna make my 80s, or something could go wrong. I'll find a little bit more out next week when they find out exactly what the fuck is wrong. But I don't care, and I don't care in a really good way. I shall be laughing all the way down, all the way to the end. So, like, if my chute doesn't open, I will be laughing all the way to the ground. Anyway, and that's pretty liberating too. It's pretty cool. Our lives are what our thoughts make them. Seneca? I don't know what Seneca is. What is Seneca?
It's a brand of apple juice, I think.
I don't think Johnny is saying it's something else.
Actually, Seneca was some sort of either Roman or Greek philosopher.
These fucking MAGA people, I want to ask them about that eclipse thing that Fox News did. Fox News very seriously said that there was a real problem with the border during the eclipse. And I want MAGA people to listen to that and tell me, how do you justify them talking about that at that particular?
Well, they just hear so much garbage from all these, right-wing Christian sites. Every one of them was talking about it. It's a sign, and this, and the signs in the heavens. It's in the Bible, and
I know.
So they have to find things.
It's just clickbait. It's just word association to fucking get your base to agree.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Guess what SJ was talking about the other day?
What?
The
Thomason?
eclipse. It's. I don't know, but it could be. Give me a break. It's a freaking eclipse.
No shit. So she was actually predicting the apocalypse a little bit.
Well, yeah, she kind of bounces around. You know how she is. She was talking about the red cows too, and it's like, it's a red cow. It's a red cow. It's a red cow.
Let's get the temple built first.
Yeah.
Then we'll worry about the cow.
Well, you got to do the cow first because you need the cow's ashes to do the blessing before you can start building the rebuilding the temple. So that's the sign. That's the sign. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know about the red cows. What are you guys talking about? Red cows? What?
There's a Jewish thing that they have to burnt offering, have the ashes, so the priest or rabbi, whatever, can do the blessing, and then they're going to rebuild the temple, which, you know, goes to all the end time stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So supposedly they bought 5 red cows, red heifers. You know, I say cows to make fun of it, but 5 red heifers from Texas and shipped them over to Israel. And that's been the buzz amongst all these, including L.A. Marzulli, that's been all over it with the red cow stuff. And so it filters down and around, and everybody's talking about the red cows now.
So, like, okay, a Guernsey, is it okay if it has a little bit of white
No.
on it?
No,
It's got to be red with red feet and there's specific things that has to be a specific redness.
Well, when I read the, I think you're okay to cut the feet off, but like the eyelashes, every hair on this animal has to be red. Every single hair.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
The eyelashes have to be red. The eyelids have to be red.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a specific. There's specific things about the redness that it has to be.
Right.
Supposedly there was. Yeah, they bought these ones from Texas and they have them. So.
What kills me is if it's not biblical. Well, maybe it is. Whatever. It's from the Torah, I think.
Yeah, it's a Jewish. Yeah, it's a old school Orthodox thing or something.
Yes, but when this thing was prophesied, there was no like genetic engineering going on or breeding. They weren't breeding for red calves back then. It was supposed to be special. And the clown in Texas is breeding specifically for these. And he's a Christian.
Selling everybody red cows.
Red
cows for everybody.
The dude that bred the cows in Texas is a Christian.
He's Oprah Winfrey. You get a cow and you get a cow. Everybody gets a red cow.
Wait a minute. If you skin the cow, aren't they all red?
Well, they burn it up. You know, it's a burnt offering thing, whatever. So they have to burn it up. And yeah, they do. The ashes are for the blessing or whatever. So that's why they're all up and talking about it, because it's one of the first signs. And then next would be building the temple. But now they're saying the argument's been that they can't build the temple or rebuild the temple where it's at because the Muslims have their dome of the rock or whatever, Dome of the Rock, on top. So now they're saying, well, it doesn't have to be built there. It's going to be built somewhere else. So they're changing the argument now. So rebuilding means building somewhere else, not actually rebuilding like they did before in the same place. So
they're basically, then they're just waving a white flag to the Muslims. They're giving up the holy ground. Yeah,
well, if they say they're going to knock down the mosque and start rebuilding, that ain't going to fly. So
no.
Has anyone told them that nothing's happened in the last 2,000 years? They got it blown up at all. And
I've tried.
Why would they think? Yeah.
Right. Like why?
Why not?
Why the fuck are we like? This is a 2,000-year-old argument. Like, what the fuck is wrong with humans? Is what I want to know.
I know. I've been just really walking around my yard saying, "What the fuck is wrong with humans? What the?"
Oh, and it's not even because, to their credit, and I'm not a fan of religions, but to their credit, the Jews seem to, not the Orthodox stricts or anything, but the Jews in general seem to be more moderate and accepting things and progressing with societies and stuff, even though they, like I say, the certain sects are not. But as far as the consensus among all of them is that they have no interest in going back to the old days of doing these sacrifices and everything. So it's really just a minority that are doing this. But DT was saying there. It's good clickbait because because this, and they can find the words in the Bible, and it's spread all around the place. So.
Yeah, the evangelicals that the fundamentalists, predispensational, millennial, blah blah blah. They take a lot of the prophecies in the Old Testament about Israel and the temple and all that to be meaning something to be fulfilled in our future under a Jesus regime. And so they assume that, well, in order for all this stuff to be about Jesus, there has to be a temple in place. And that because that's the way they choose to interpret those passages of the Bible. So of course they have an interest in somehow, seeing a temple be rebuilt, or Old Testament style sacrifices take place. Even though, if you think about it, it kind of contradicts what you consider to be what they consider to be the most important doctrines, and which is the sufficiency of the atonement of Christ. Because with the atonement of Christ, that did away with the need for the sacrifice of bulls and oxen and other animals, according to that doctrine. So they kind of live in a contradiction, which is nothing new. But they take a lot of those prophecies very seriously, and thus they want to have a hand in helping fulfill the prophecies about the second coming of Jesus.
Speaking of the apocalypse,
it's like Maya commented too, that the Christians again are telling the Jews what their religion is and their prophecies are and everything, and that's not what it is. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the apocalypse, has anybody seen this Willie Nelson, Orville, Peck, Cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other? have you, I just linked it in the public chat.
I just saw a thing on that he rescues horses doomed for be put down or whatever, and he lets them run free on his ranch. So that's pretty cool.
Hey, Scott.
Nothing tastes better than free range horse meat.
Sir,
the link you posted to Scientific American requires a subscription, which really sucks.
I know.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
I don't think I'm a subscriber, and I was able to link to it, so I don't know. Sorry about that.
Oh God, I had this wonderful memory when I was a little kid. My mom and dad brought me down to my mom brought me to Duluth, and I went to the library, and I was looking at the Scientific American, and I was reading about photosynthesis, and they had pictures of the cells and just all kinds of neat shit. I love Scientific American because of that, but I fucking hate them because every time I try to read an article, they want me to give them like $100 and some a year or whatever.
Yeah.
Gosh. Everybody out to make a buck.
Oh, I had a big stack of Scientific Americans out on this table, and I was smelling all these old, sort of moldy books in this huge library in Duluth, Minnesota. And I just had a flashback to that. And that was like one of the best memories of my youth.
There's nothing like the musty, moldy smell of books in a library.
Yeah, me and my friend ran away in 7th grade, and we walked all the way to Duluth, Minnesota, basically for 60 miles in September, and we were freezing our asses off. And we went to the library, and we were trying to sleep there, but the night watchman caught us and threw us out. And then we ended up walking by this church, and we were freezing our asses off. It's about 30 degrees, right? We should have run away in June, for fuck's sake. We were so stupid.
Poor planning.
And we walked by this church, and just for the hell of it, we walked by this church, and there was a garage behind the church that was open. So we went back there, and we took these. Do you know what, like when you fix your roof and you put these tar shingles on your roof? They're big, huge tar shingles.
Uh-huh.
We were laying in this open garage with tar shingles on top of us, freezing to death for blankets, right? We were using tar. Well, then we decided that we had to start walking or we were going to freeze to death. So we walked by the church, and for the hell of it, I tried the door, and the fucking thing opened. The church was open. So we walked in, and they had a big stage where they did like a theater, and it was still freezing in the church. They didn't have the heat on. So we ended up sleeping with the curtains came down to maybe our shoulders. So we wrapped the curtains around our heads and we shivered for the rest of the evening. And it was an ill-fated trip. We were headed to South Africa. That was our plan. We were going to stow away on a boat in South America. We made it 60 miles, and then my friend's toe got infected from walking, and we had to call our parents.
That's not a good end of the story.
It was a great fun.
An infected toe you were supposed to have your moment. You were in the church. It was a sign. You got led there, and then the Holy Ghost showed up.
Ghost, right?
And you could have appealed for donations at any moment.
My friend Max told.
See, this is why you can't make the money, Mike. You're supposed to add the Holy Ghost part into your story, not an infected toe. That's not going to sell.
Did it ever dawn on either one of you to pray for warmth?
No, actually, we were atheists back then. We didn't pray at all.
Oh, well, see?
That's what we did wrong. Anyway, my friend's toe was as big as my foot, and it was leaking. And he had a fever of about 104, and I was freezing to death. And I remember our parents came and found us somewhere in South Duluth, and it was a mess. We're ready to come home now, Mom and Dad. I think we had like $5 on us, each of us. We were gonna.
Can you please come pick us up?
You couldn't make it. You couldn't go on to South Africa by yourself.
Yeah, right. Oh, you know what else is cool? In Zim, Minnesota, about halfway down, we decided we were gonna hitch a train, right? And the fucking ore trains were going by, and a train went by at about 70 miles an hour. Fuck, we're not going to be able to catch that. So we ended up trying to sleep in this little. It was one of these little shacks on the railroad track by a switch. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they used to have these little shacks where a person would sit by the switch. And so we got in there, and there was a stove in there, so we started a fire in the stove, right? And then we went to sleep, and we woke up. And the fucking shack was on fire. It was fucking flaming out of the top of
it. You need to write folk songs, There we were.
It was fucking horrible. We had this water that we got out of a ditch, and it tasted like fucking ass. And we brought a block of cheese with us, right?
I wonder how his toe got infected.
We had a knife and we had a block of cheddar cheese, and that fucking cheese was hot. It was, if you've ever eaten hot cheese.
Like spicy?
Oh, no. It was like temperature. It was fucking hot cheese.
Right, radioactive from that green rock you were huddling around to try to keep warm.
and on the day we left, it was like fucking, it was like 80 degrees on the day we left. So this hot cheese, we were dying of thirst, eating hot cheese in the fucking sun. And then it drops down to 30 at night. It's like, God is trying to fucking tell us to go home.
He's trying to tell you you're both retarded. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Fuck? We had a big plan. We were going to stow away on a ship and go to South Africa and cross the Kalahari Desert, right? 2 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
How many mushrooms were you doing when you were 13?
It was 6 years before I did any drugs at all. So there you go. I did have a few drunks on my dad's apple wine down in the basement under my belt by that time. But started drinking at about 12, 13. So.
Chug-a-lug, chug.
Yeah, my dad decided it was a good idea. He had a teenager in the house. I'm gonna brew 150 gallons of grape wine in the basement, and then I'm gonna go to the lake for the weekend, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna expect that they haven't wrecked the car, destroyed the house.
I'm gonna have an alcoholic for a son. That's what I'm gonna come back to.
Oh man, that was a story. When
But
mom,
we didn't really. I always tell her we didn't have alcohol in the house. If I saw, my mom would buy a couple single beers, and I knew that my aunt and uncle were coming over because my aunt always drank beer with dinner. Otherwise, I joke, we had a bottle of whiskey under the sink, and I think it was still under there when I moved out. That was covered in dust, and it was only brought out when we were really sick, and we would get a hot lemonade with whiskey in it to clear you out. And that bottle lasted like, 20, 30, 20, about 20 years, I think. That one bottle of whiskey lasted in our house that long. So.
If there's a bottle of whiskey in our house, the cap was like a sterile environment. A fleck of dust couldn't even land on that fucker before my dad had it open. We even had an alcoholic chihuahua because my dad would feed the fucker Christian Brothers whiskey. But we had probably 20 gallons of homebrewed beer in the basement, 150 gallons apple wine, 20-gallon crock of chokecherry and wine, and another one of dandelion wine. And it's like, and then my mom and dad are going to go to the lake for the weekend, and I'm supposed to be a responsible teenager and take care of the farm.
Yeah. If we went somewhere, a wedding or something, my dad would have drinks or something. And if we went out fishing, my dad would have a couple beers, and my uncle would drink the rest of the case. But he wasn't putting them away like my uncle was or anything. You know what I mean? It was just have a couple beers, So, but there was times though where he would go out and just get freaking polluted, and they'd have to drop him off on the porch when he was having an issue. And that was my dad's drinking problem. He couldn't handle his liquor. That was his drinking problem.
My dad's drinking problem was my mom.
Or his alcohol, actually. No, what was weird? It was like my dad seemed to get polluted when they would go out and drink a lot of beer, that cheap bar beer, When he would drink liquor, he just seemed to be happy. And, like I said, we'd be at a wedding and he'd be dancing and having a good time, and everything. But man, they I don't know if they were buying pictures or what they're doing, but he'd get into the beer and he would just get polluted.
Yeah. My dad would come.
But that was, that was rare. It was rare though. We didn't really have an issue.
Every Friday night, my dad came home drunk, and on Saturday night, he would wreck the house. My mom would call the cops, and the cops would come and talk to my dad. And it would just be every weekend.
Now, cigarettes and coffee, that's another thing.
Yeah.
My dad woke up, he started a pot of coffee. My dad walked in from work, he started a pot of coffee. If he was getting ready to go to work, he was making a pot of coffee to put in his thermos to go to work.
Yep. What time we
got?
got?
To have coffee.
Oh.
In real time, it's 2:00.
Oh, no. The real time is 1:00 there, my friend. The one true zone. Okay, is your time zone called the Central Zone? No, it ain't. Just get it right. Oh, my God. I had a pretty interesting youth, actually. It was pretty cool.
I had a pretty good childhood. I said, James and I think, talked about it on a stream or something. That a lot of the arguments don't work against me. I had a good childhood. I was in Scouts and went to Sunday school and everything. And I never had, nor my brother, as far as I know, we never got touched or, no funny business. We didn't know anybody about any no funny business. Everything was pretty normal. We had lots of kids to play with. We spent time, fishing with my uncle. We spent time with our grandparents. We did all the things, took family vacations. I just didn't, I just grew out of it at a real young age. And
we went to
that
the
was
family cabin every weekend. The Bon Air Bar in Mountain Iron was the family cabin. We went there every weekend. so we got to go on vacation.
I said, yeah, my dad, drank coffee, smoked cigarettes. He wore black socks with plaid shorts. I mean, he was a 70s dad. I mean,
When I was like 4 and 5 years old, I used to get to ride on the back of the tractor while my mom drove 5 miles to Mount Iron to the bar to get my dad home. That was fun.
There was a couple times I remember my mom went and picked up my dad. But,
Yeah,
it was just, it'd be one of those things, especially with the union guys. They'd get something they're upset about, and they'd say, fuck it, we're union. And they'd all walk out and they'd all go to the bar, And then they're all sitting around going, yeah, F the boss, F this and that, we're union, their salary, you know what I mean? All that thing. And yeah, they would all be cheering each other on and drinking themselves into a stupor.
yeah. In the mines, I just thought of this. They used to pay the workers on Friday night, every Friday night, and that would be the beginning of the weekend of drinking. Basically, I wonder if they did that on purpose because it kept them from unionizing. Basically, if they were drunk all weekend, right?
Oh, my dad made the mistake of leaving his wallet sit on the bar when he's at the bar, and it disappeared. And yeah, he had to get all his stuff replaced because he took his eye off his wallet at the bar. That's like, yep.
Yeah. Crazy. The 50s and the 60s, man, back when.
And the reason I remember that is because I have the thingy in my few memorabilias. I have the little thing where somebody found his stuff in a garbage can somewhere. No credit cards or money or nothing, but like his ID and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and they mailed it back, and they said, "Hey, I found this," and they dropped it in an envelope and mailed it back. So I still have that envelope, so that's why.
Yeah, because that's the toughest part is getting your old driver's license made again and all that bullshit.
Yep. So somebody was nice enough to put a stamp on it and mail it to him. So that was pretty cool.
I survived being an altar boy in the 70s.
Yeah, I went to Sunday school, and all that, and
I went
like
to
I say, though,
school.
we went to a Methodist church, and it was always pretty progressive, So it was never, it wasn't hellfire or nobody was welcome or
Did your mom
certain
and dad,
people weren't welcome or none of that stuff.
Did mom and dad buy you concrete underpants?
No, that's Mormon.
Boy.
No, they just basically
United Methodist. That was my church.
It got instilled in me at a very young age that sex is bad, and if you engage in it before you're married, you're going to hell.
Yeah, hopefully they instilled that in the priests too. Because
all the priests, that I know of,
I remember making stuff in Sunday school. That's because one of the things we made spelled Noel with the felt and the paper towel rolls. And it hung on my mother's door forever because I made it when I was a little kid in Sunday school.
Yeah, I'm coming up with green and red.
Yeah.
Yeah, green and red felt, and you cut out Noel and put it on and strung it together with yarn, and it hung on the door. And
right.
That thing that hung on our front door handle for every year as long as I can remember. That's what I remember about. I don't remember any bad stuff. No hellfire stuff.
I remember
it was always friendly and welcoming. Like I said, I was naive in a lot of ways. My experience at church was what you would think church is supposed to be. You know what I mean? Everybody's nice and welcoming. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you come from. This is church. Come on in, sit down. Nice to meet you. Yeah, we're going to talk about this Jesus guy. He's pretty cool. And that's how church was.
One of my main memories of Sunday school is when they told us that God made us, and they had pictures of God with little cookies that he was putting in the oven, right? And there were little pictures of little children, right? There were little cutouts of little children cookies. And then they told us that black people were cookies that God left in the oven too long. And it was in the fucking book in a Presbyterian church in 1956. Now, or maybe 58. So if anybody could find that book today, I'm pretty sure that they burned all those books, because I don't think they would get away with that today. Do you think that would go over today? God left the book?
I think I saw more minorities at church than I did at school.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
church for us was down about a quarter mile past the certain, I don't want to name the stuff because I don't want to be like that or anything, but there used to be a road that was basically the line, right?
Yeah.
And when you went past that road, it got a little more diverse in ethnicity, right?
Yeah.
And when it was on the other side of that, it was more, everybody I went to grade school with, it was all white folks. But as soon as you went to high school, it became 50-50 because everything got mixed together. But at church, even though church was down the road, I had more exposure there than I ever did at school, just by that, quarter mile distance.
I saw my first black person when I was 16 years old or 15 years old on a bus ride back from Austin, Texas. First time I'd ever seen a black person. That's how the Iron Range was in Minnesota. So
I didn't really think about that much, I mean, there was, there was, when I was a kid, you were already seeing black kids and black people on, Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers and everything, and then they were coming into TV shows and everything, with Cosby and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think that, like you said, at an early age, so I didn't think about it so much. I was just like, well, those are black people, it wasn't like, what are black people or, it was just like, those are black people. So.
Well, we had a lot of Native Americans on the Iron Range, and I never thought of Native Americans as being a thing. They were just, the Nelsons and the Roys, and they were just different families, and I never really thought of them as being a different race or anything.
Well, see, my thing was all skewed because I got all my stuff from cowboy movies. So
yeah, okay.
My heroes killed cowboys.
Yeah.
Unless what was the one? What's the one with the fort where they were? I can't.
The Alamo? No.
F Troop. That's the one. Thank you very much. F Troop. Now in that,
F Troop. Oh.
Yeah, the soldiers weren't so bright, and the Native Americans always got the better of them. So,
yeah, that was
yes.
Yep. Well, I was gonna talk about a conversation that I'm having on a YouTube channel, but I kind of want to get out of here now, so we're not going to do that.
We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. Yeah, well, we can't switch over to a conversation on consciousness and the human brain. I'm doing a deep dive in neuroanatomy right now, and it's killing me, man. It is so fucking hard.
I'll tell you another story about that if you want.
Yeah.
I think it goes back what you were talking about earlier is you went into recovery 17 years ago, and it's a lot of work, right?
Right.
Because I've been through, similar.
Yep.
I haven't had a drink in 36 years, but so I went. I was much younger than you, obviously. So I went through everything I had to go through and did the 12 steps. And dealt with all of this shit in my life, right?
Yep.
And now I'm 59 and I'm realizing I basically need to do all that again.
Yes, that's what's happening to me.
And it seems like my ego or whatever, or the depression or whatever of me wants to think I can't do that. And it's even more than that. It's like I have to go deeper
Yep.
than I already fucking went. Man, it just seems like fucking. The fuck is the point? You know what I mean when I say that? But that's also the depression talking too.
Yeah, but that's happening to me. All of a sudden I found this whole new layer of stuff.
I know you have something that I want is basically what I'm getting at. Yes.
Yeah, but I'm having a fuck of a time with it because this layer is a lot stinkier than the last layer. Right?
I appreciate what you're walking through right now. And
yeah.
I need to do that for myself. But I haven't really had the fucking balls to do it.
Yeah, when I first did it 17 years, well, actually I didn't start my 4-step until 3 years sober. So it was 14 years ago. When I first did it, it was the most transformative experience I'd had in my life.
Yes.
You know, I moved forward, but now out here at 17 years, or actually it started a couple of years ago, I'm all of a sudden remembering all this shit that I forgot to address. And I'm also getting like all this sense of what a fucking asshole I was. And I don't know what the fuck to do with that. I'm having a little trouble with this. Because I mean,
that's understandable. Yeah, man.
I was a fucking asshole. And I was like, I was one of those people that I judge today, you know, as being an asshole.
Right.
Like when I run into a person like that. And then I think back, it's like, oh, fuck, I was like that. And it's like, oh my God, it's hard. But I'm doing it right now. I'm going through it. I'm going to go through it. It's one of the
things right now, I am one of those people that I judge. And
yeah, that's a problem.
I
see
that, you know?
Yeah.
You can't unsee it.
Oh, yeah. When I'm in traffic, sometimes I'm like, fucker, what the fuck? You know, just going on. It's like, wow, what the hell's wrong with you? Calm down.
I'd say, yeah, I have to blame myself too, because I say I can't blame outside influences because I really didn't have bad influences. So,
yeah.
If I mess up or say something stupid, it's on me.
Well, and one thing I'm learning, I hope, as I get older, is I have a tendency to say, but like, you don't know what it's like to be in my mind.
Yeah.
And I forget, like, how the fuck do I know what's going through everybody else's mind?
Right. Yeah. The same kind of shit, actually.
Yeah, we all come at this differently, right?
Well, that's what's hard with a lot of these, creationist or whatever, and any of the silly arguments out there. It's like, how's this stuff really go on in your head? You know, I can't fathom how, they make up all this silly stuff. You know what I mean? It's how's that going on in your head? You know, that I don't see how that can go on in my head.
I can see that.
It's really when they're just saying that, or just a belief in something, or a Bigfoot, for example. It's like it's like, yeah, okay, you believe something, but how do you associate that with, a reality? It's supposed to be separate, and I've always. Yeah, but I don't know. I've never understood how the people cross over. You know what I mean? They're supposed to be separate things.
I have a deep question. Like, my question would be to those people or whoever, what is it doing for you? Like, I don't think.
Right.
I don't like people who have a strong faith in Jesus or whatever. They do it and they believe in it and they have faith, but I don't think they ever think, like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah. Like idealists, these idealists that I'm going after. Okay.
Or even me with my depression. I just thought about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting something out of that.
Yep. It serves you in some way. I came up with this idea a long time ago that there are no monsters. Like when you see somebody else do something monstrous.
Right.
they're justifying it in their own mind, and they do not feel like a monster. They feel like they're doing the right thing. Like all the things that my father did to me when I was a little kid that were really fucking horrible. I talked to him right before he died, and he looked at me and he said, I did right by you, didn't I? And I lied to him and said he did, because I realized that because of the way he was brought up and because of what his mindset was, he really thought he was doing the right thing.
Right.
You know? And like, I realized in that moment that there are no fucking monsters. All the monsters feel just like I do, just as justified as I do when I do something.
That's what Trees was talking about when we covered werewolves, is that one of the reasons that these werewolf stories came about was because when people would do these horrific crimes, they couldn't believe a human being could do it. So they made up monsters that must have been doing it.
Yeah.
Because there's no way a human being could have done this horrible crime.
Yeah. There are no real monsters, and that's the fucking thing that really killed me.
Well, what that did, or I don't know what that did for you, what that does, I think, is you realized you're not a monster.
Yeah.
In that same...
Yeah, but I have a lot more trouble forgiving myself when I did monstrous things.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Because you're the only. Because I'm the only one really that can forgive myself.
Yeah, but there's a sense to it of, okay, all those things I did in the past when I couldn't have done anything else because that's who I was. That was the bed of my mind. I can do differently right now, right here, today. And that is where I'm making choices, right? I can't make choices in the past. I can't deal with regrets, should have, would have. But I'm having a hell of a time because I'm standing in judgment of my prior self. And I'm trying, and that's the nut that's the next nut I need to crack on my journey.
Did you, I gotta ask, did you ever get this, I was on to something with the 12 steps there.
Train of thought derail.
Yeah, like
what was I saying?
There was what were you saying? Fucking lost it.
Yeah, well, it'll come back if you just quit trying to retrieve it.
Right.
Generational trauma is usually passed on provisionally, and I actually caught myself passing it on to my sons, and I stopped myself and I made a complete pivot with how I raised my kids. And as a result of that, I'm still friends with my kids today. But I watched my siblings treat their children in a lot of ways the same way that my dad treated them. And it is just fucking amazing how you fall into the same pattern as your parents when you get kids, and you pass it on, and you keep passing it on until somebody says, stop, fucking stop. What happened to me is, like, when my kids were 9 years old, I had them doing a job, and I went out and one of them was doing a terrible job, and I turned into my father right in front of myself, and I stopped myself. I went in the house and I cried like a baby because I had turned into my father right in front of my own fucking eyes. And I went back out there and I paid my kids $50 to mow a 6-acre lawn. I offered them that each. And I went out there and I gave them the money and said, I'm going to mow my own fucking lawn. You guys go play with whatever you want to play with. Go play video games. And right there at that time, I stopped that generational inheritance for my kids. And it is just so insidious how we do that to our children. We end up becoming our parents.
Right.
It's like,
I always explain to my kids when I'm doing something, I'm not cussing at you. I just cussing when I'm doing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like, God dang it, this thing won't, the nut and bolt, blah, 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 hammer, nail, what's the complain, cuss.
Yeah. I don't know. I've been cutting.
Especially when they're little, and they're giving you a hand or something, It's like, I'm not cussing at you. I'm not cussing at you.
I've been cutting brush out on the hillside, and it's a real steep hillside, and I'll trip over some branch, and all of a sudden it becomes the enemy. You motherfucker.
Yeah.
You fucking branch. How dare
Damn.
you be in the woods?
Damn tree branch.
Yeah, how dare you be in the woods in my way? Yeah.
It came back to me, Mike.
Okay. Told you it would.
When you were talking earlier about you're trying to make peace with what you've done in the past.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about like working the steps, and it says the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
Right.
And I was going to ask you, like, when you were going through that process, did you ever feel maybe a sense of relief? Like, okay, I've done all this shit, but I can own it. But I can own it and move on.
I'm not going to do it again is the part that gave me relief. That's the part. Like, I did something terrible. I apologize. I am so sorry I did that. I will not do it again, or I will do my best not to do it again. That's the only part that gave me relief. And yeah, shut the door on the past.
I just realized I need to. I did all of that shit again to a greater or lesser extent sober.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you do it sober, it's tougher, isn't it?
Oh,
Nothing
my
you can hang it up.
God. That's. Oh,
yeah.
fuck.
Oh, yeah.
On a
Right drunks.
On a lighter note, did you hear what the caddies nicknamed Trump?
No.
Pele.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's always kicking his ball back on the fairway. You remember Pele?
Yes.
I don't know what that is. I don't.
Pele was the famous soccer player that did the jump in the air and kicked it back over his head into the goal shot. And for a while, he was all over Nike and Gatorade and Wheaties boxes and the whole thing.
Is soccer the one where they have the little black licorice puck on the ice and they kick it around with a stick?
No, it's a white ball thing.
Oh, it's a white.
It's European football.
Is the ball round or is it pill shaped?
But Pele was, he was the chit for a while there.
Okay.
And but if you look it up, though, famously, he did the thing where he jumped up in the air and kicked it up, while he was upside down, did a flip, basically in the air and kicked the ball right in the goal or whatever.
So he was. Is bicycle kick.
But Trump kicks the ball back, and they've got videos where he goes to drive. He totally whiffs, and he just reaches down, he grabs the ball, and he puts it in his pocket. And then he's just going to walk down the fairway somewhere and put the ball where he likes it.
He's like, 92 indictments, and he's probably going to skate out of every one of them.
He's going to get elected from jail, man.
I know. Yeah. It's like, Jesus. Well,
amazing.
Oh, well, it'll be historic. That's for goddamn sure.
But it's just, that's just, I mean, even when we were kids, we like to challenge ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was no point in cheating because that doesn't, that defeats the challenge purpose, It
defeats the purpose of the game. Life like that too, though. You got to have a little bit of trouble.
If he goes to prison, his popularity will explode.
I know. What I'm waiting for is the Canadians to start building a wall before November because there's going to be this outflux from the United States.
Well, if you have a bad day golfing, you're supposed to throw them in the pond or break a club or whatever, like everybody else. You're not supposed to cheat. But it's just so symbolic, you know what I mean? That's how pathetic he is. That he has to cheat on his own golf course. I mean, You have to be at least an average golfer if you golf all the time on your own freaking golf course, you know. But no, you can't be happy with that. Yeah, no. Remember there was remember the James Bond movie with the guy that threw his hat, and he was with was it Goldfinger or something?
Goldfinger, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And he's out there and he's dropping the ball on the fairway for his boss when they're playing golf.
Odd job.
That's Trump. You know, just put the ball right there.
Who was the hot chick in that movie?
And I guess he picks up putts all the time too. He doesn't bother putting it in. It's close enough. He just picks it up and walks off.
So I decided if he gets elected, the thing that I hate the most is listening to him. So what I'm going to do is throw out my televisions, my computers. I'm going to completely disconnect from the electronic world.
Well, supposedly he has to be in court on Monday, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. My goodness. Guys, I got to get out in the woods.
But it's just, with all the things that, obviously he's a horrible human being, everything. But I mean, you got to laugh at the fact that this clown cheats at golf. He's so pathetic. He has to cheat at golf just to try to say, look how good I am or whatever. It's just that is just so, it's just so, it's so pathetic. It's like, you go bowling and you're bumping up your score or something. It's like, what's the point of even doing it, or darts or whatever your sport is.
Okay, which Pete is this? Yeah, can we hear you, Pete?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pete. Over. You're a little.
He says over. Yeah, no, because I came in here a minute ago on a different device and I couldn't hear you guys, and I don't know if you could hear me. I said a few things, but
hello, John.
We didn't hear a thing, right, John? Why are you
right?
Pete
So
today? Why are you Pete?
I don't know. That's one of my nicknames from over 60 years. Pete. My last name is Peterson. They used to call me Pete.
What's up, Pete?
But the reason I came in, and the funny thing is, it took me so long because I'm so inept to get in here that you probably won't even remember back what made me come in here. But you guys were talking about like people, I think maybe it would have been Doubting Thomas was saying about how like other people don't know what's in my head, or I pretend I know what in other people's heads, but I don't know. And something I found out recently that just blew my mind, and I wanted to find out what you guys thought about it, because I assumed for the longest time that just everybody was the same way. But I found out within the last year or so that not everybody, and as a matter of fact, it's a low percentage. It's like 25 or 30% or like 1/3 or something of human beings actually have an inner monologue.
Really? What?
Oh, yes. And then no, seriously, the vast majority of human beings do not have an inner monologue. Their minds work in the fashion of that, they can have higher thinking, and, like people that are like this might, be doctors and lawyers and, really smart people. What's that?
I need a link to this.
Well, yeah. And I didn't look for it before I came in here, but yeah, it was something I saw online and I read and watched a couple of different things on it. But yeah, I can give you a link, but it's probably something you can find yourself just by searching the right keyword.
I've got a whole committee and a congressional body in my head.
Well,
I say stuff out loud like that was stupid, Dave. When I do something that I know better, it's like
right. That's my point. So you guys are all on the same page. You think that's crazy that like everybody must have some kind of inner monologue?
Yeah.
No, it's where it's when you're getting a voice back that's not yours that crosses.
Well, see, and I saw like this. The one thing I saw, and it was a YouTube video, and I'll go look for it and send you guys a link. But he was actually interviewing a woman that didn't have it, and he was, she was explaining how it was kind of like different in her mind that. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a link to something called Boss Project or whatever.
I think Mike said earlier that some people are always going to have some exceptions to everything he was talking about, where you have to have either a specific treatment or maybe there just isn't any, and you're just stuck in this, certain brain disease or something that you have to work around.
I think it depends. I'd have to see, John. That's why I asked for the link. Like, what do they mean when they're asking these people about if they have an inner monologue? What does that mean to those people?
Well, I mean, to me, it means like, and this has been since I was a small child till now, is that I basically in my head, and this might be part of my mental illness, I don't know, there's a conversation always going on in my head. And it's not that I think it's another entity or whatever, but it's almost like I'm bouncing things back and forth in my head between me and myself, like even like analyzing the most minute things, because that's what I thought life was about. You take every moment as it is and you see how you can make it better, I guess. But like I said, the shit that I saw on YouTube and online and other sources was saying that, like I said, like 2/3 of people don't have that inner monologue. Like, should I do this? Or, I have two choices in front of me. What's this choice? What's that choice? I'll choose this one. And according to this stuff I read and saw, that is not going on in everybody's mind.
Yeah, let me comment on that. Okay, for one thing, everybody thinks that they're conscious all day long. Like conscious in the sense that I am aware that I am aware, and we're not at all. And the same with an inner monologue. Like if I think about it, I can, like if I'm thinking about what I was thinking about 5 minutes ago, I will convert it into an inner monologue. But I really doubt that I was having an inner monologue while I was thinking. I was thinking somehow conceptually and in a different manner, maybe spatially or whatever, but I wasn't putting a narrative to it.
Okay, you're not putting a narrative to it, but so like you're saying, so say you're going along somewhere outside and you see something that's surprising, like you don't have this like reaction in your head, it's verbiage, like, holy shit, what the fuck?
Only when I think about how I'm going to go in and tell my sons about it or post on it, will I turn it into an inner monologue.
Well, no, okay, only when I do that. But what I'm saying is you are living your life, okay, and something happens upon you. You don't have time to think about it.
No,
like
right.
Say, like someone jumps out around the corner at you and scares you. Your head doesn't go, oh, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? Or like,
yeah, right.
I have a question, a simple one, maybe that'll clear this up. Do you think, have you ever had the thought, like, I don't like myself?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if it would be. Yeah, there again, I've had that feeling, but I'm not sure if I've had it in the form of a monologue and said I don't.
Right, but what's going on right there is, to me, that's an inner monologue, because there's basically like almost two different people there. There's you and yourself. So if you have the feeling, I don't like myself or I love myself.
Yeah. That's
a fucking dialogue. It's not a monologue. That's a dialogue between you and yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't see how it's, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see how it's possible to operate as a human or conscious.
Yeah. Like if I'm thinking about something in philosophy and I want to put it on this YouTube channel and I'm in the bathtub or the whirlpool thinking about it, I will turn it into a monologue because I am thinking about how I'm going to say it to somebody else. So anytime I bring another person into it in my mind, then I will convert it into a monologue. But I don't think I do that ordinarily. So.
See, but here's the thing. Hold on, you're missing the whole point. It's not a monologue. It's a dialogue. It's a dialogue. Yeah, because it's you and another part of you that is working something out in your head between the two of you, which is really just one of you. But it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue.
I only do that if I intend to bring another person into it. So, like, when I think in terms of pictures and stuff like that. And unless I'm planning on explaining it to somebody else, I don't turn it into a dialogue.
Well, that's kind of like the demon angels on your shoulders, right? You got that battle going on that surrounds all your thinking and stuff, you know. Like,
yeah, but that's interesting. There's a bunch of articles. If you type in 25% of people do not have an inner monologue, you'll end up with a whole bunch of news articles about it, but I can't find it. I haven't found a paper yet.
You haven't found a paper yet?
Nope. Just a lot of fucking magazines talking about
it. Well, so maybe I came in here and spewed some like Trump nonsense to you.
Okay.
Quit kicking the ball. Gosh.
I found a TEDx on it. I found a TEDx. So,
well, you know what? TEDx doesn't mean the same thing as it did 15 years ago.
No, TEDx is like bullshit oftentimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
TEDx will have anybody on there. They would let Hulk on there.
Yep.
Let me.
Yeah, it used to be like what, like you several years ago, like a few times a year, you'd see a TEDx about something real kick ass, and then now it's like everybody's got a TEDx.
Okay, there's a difference between TED Talks and TEDx. TEDx is like a renegade thing.
Well, no, same thing, but I'm talking. That's what I meant. Is TED Talk same thing? It's there's way too many of them now.
Yeah, but TED Talks I think are a little more vetted than TEDx is. TEDx will let anybody get on there.
They've had some woo on there. So.
Oh my God, Sabine Hossenfelder just did a video called "My Dream Died and Now I'm Here." What the hell is that?
I love her. I watch her all the time, man. Yeah, she has some really good shit.
Yeah, she does. She's gotten herself into trouble a few times, but
hey, so you guys were talking about him earlier. So did you notice how the guy who supposedly killed Roe is now saying that no, it should be the states, you know, like what the fuck?
Well, he realized that this is what's going to get him not elected. You know, so so the Republicans are like, even the Republicans that were all for that 1864 law being brought back to Arizona are now saying they were not all for it, even though they have video.
They're all like, wait, hang on.
Trump said, we'll get that worked out.
Well, you know, he's watching Fox News polls, and the Fox News polls were showing even Republicans think it should be up to a woman and a doctor.
Yeah, you know, I've thought that for a while, that the abortion thing is gonna cause him to lose because more women are gonna go vote for Biden. But I got to tell you, like, they should just keep Biden away from the fucking cameras till the goddamn fucking election, man. Like the other day, like they asked him about that like 1864 law and the ruling in Arizona, and he said, my response to that is
yes and no.
Vote no. He said my response to that is vote for me. I'm in the 20th century. Oh, wait, no, I'm in the 21st century.
He said, well, we want the states to decide, and they said this and that. Do you like the decision? He said, no, not really. So we're going to do something about fixing it. And it's like, wait a minute. That's like a federal intervention then, right?
But what I'm saying, do you understand what he said? No, vote for me. I'm from the 20th century. And then he went, oh, no, wait, 21st century.
Oh, no. Well,
like, holy fuck. It's like, keep your mouth shut till the election, Joe.
I'm from the 20th century, actually. So, I mean, that's where I started. I'm going to end in the 21st. Oh, no. What did my cat do? My cat just stepped on the keyboard.
Somebody was saying on the YouTubes the other day something about, well, hopefully when we get around to 2008 that there'll be some new candidates. So
2008.
buckle up between then and now, because it doesn't matter who wins. There's going to be do keep
It's
throwing all
only
over the
4
place.
years, man. People need to fucking relax.
Now, let me ask you this. So, to me though, like I said a couple years ago, I'm like, the left has to shut their fucking mouth, stop going after Trump. He's going to end up winning because they're doing all this shit. But here's the thing. My thing is, if Trump wins, I still have faith in the system. I think like they keep talking about how Trump will like make it
it's borderline though.
Dictatorship, and I think the system will. He won't be able to take over. Or am I being a Pollyanna by thinking that?
No, I think the same thing. It's 4 years. Who gives a fuck, man?
Yeah.
I realize something that's going on in this country. The people that are really behind Trump are behind him because they know that he's going to try to rule by executive order. And they, in a lot of ways, want our democracy to go away. The existing democracy with the Congress, where you work with the Congress and you get laws passed, they want shit to happen instantly. And they're having a problem with Biden because Biden is trying to work with Congress to get things done rather than do it by executive order. So I'm afraid that what the MAGA crowd really wants is a fucking dictator that basically agrees with them. So they want a dictator that agrees with them. So we're looking at a kind of revolution in this country that is really capable of toppling it right to the core.
Well, and I agree with that. I agree with everything you're saying, except for the fact that I think that the system that is in place, that's been in place for 230 years, is strong enough to withstand what Trump might try to do. Okay, and the other thing is like I have this hope that one of the reasons why Trump is running now, he's not a complete idiot. He sees the writing on the wall. And I think I told this to you the other day, Mike, when we were talking. I have this hope that the reason Trump's running right now is he knows he's going to fucking lose, and then that way he can just turn do the, what do they call it, the not handing over power, but like last time, like he didn't hand over power magnanimously. He tried to like fight it. I'm thinking like this next time. What's that?
He never has.
Right. And I'm just thinking like this time, if he loses, maybe he will come right out and concede like after he loses, just because he wants history to remember him in a better light.
Not Mr. Fake News and everybody cheats. Never.
That's basically what Mike said to me when I ran by him.
Yeah.
I personally think that he wants to go to jail. The way he's right on the edge all the time. The way he keeps fucking threatening judges and fucking threatening courts. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, if he likes edging, he'll get a lot of that.
Well, his speeches at his rallies are just repeats. I mean, he hasn't said anything new ever. I mean, every speech is the same thing. But,
he doesn't need to.
Right. But see, his new thing is now that he throws out cuss words and that's when the audience all starts clapping and gets all fired up because they've heard it all before. And some of these folks, they've traveled around to hundreds of these rallies just to see him. It's even the same people in the audience. So you're not hearing anything new. So that's his little thing now. He throws out, that's bullshit or something, and they all go, oh, that's something new. He cussed. Oh, and the crowd erupts and he feeds on that. So
yes, because he's a Christian Bible believing man and he swears.
Right.
And that's who we need in the White House.
Hey, he's not on the top 3 or 500 billionaires now anymore.
It makes me think he needs Ray Comfort there with his microphone saying, you're going to hell for cussing, don't you? You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're going to hell.
Have you all seen the Jack Nicholson movie, The Pledge, where he plays?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, at the end of it, where he's out by the woodpile and he's muttering to himself. He's just going back and forth and going over what he fucked up. And he's like obviously really screwed up and crazy. That's what's going to happen to Trump if he loses. He's going to end up turning into Jack at the end of it. And he's going to be walking around Mar-a-Lago and lawn in circles, muttering, I really won. I won. I really did win.
Time to take your medicines.
Yeah, time to take your meds, and
It'd be like Gene.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say he'd be like Gene Hackman at the end of the conversation when he's tearing his apartment apart looking for the fucking microphones.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's going to be 5 people in the house drawing straws. Like, who has to go tell him he's lost?
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to. You go. I'm not going to do it.
Well, I'm really concerned that I think the entire country needs to take a deep look at what the fuck the United States actually is about. Why we became a really great country. By about
So real quick before we get too far past, I just want to say if he does lose, they'll be like, Ivanka, go put your bikini on and go tell him.
If you want hope for the future, he gets defeated in a landslide, so that he can't even cry about cheating. He's just going to lose so bad that it's going to get called early. So
he'll be muttering out on Mar-a-Lago's lawn, just like I said. He'll be like, I really want to see that. I want to see.
If they say polls are closing and we have a decision, there's going to be no shuffling of boxes or anything else. And I guarantee you, they're working on speeding everything up this time. I guarantee.
Does anybody know how do you short a stock? Because I want to short that. What's that shit? That true?
Oh, his stock. It lost like 50% or something.
yeah. Well, and then there was some like one of those kind of Wall Street people like did like an analysis, and they put like the actual worth of it at like $2 a share.
Yeah, I know.
He's a business genius. Ask anybody that supports him.
It's actually going to be worth zero. It's a short of stock. You need a broker, and you have to put up money, I believe. Basically, you have to put up some percent.
What I heard, whatever it was, that if you put up $1, it's worth 50 cents now. So,
yeah, guys, I got to get out of here. I hate to do this, but anyway, I have a picture of Snack. Snack got himself up on a 10-foot deck, and he was looking at me saying, "How do I get down?"
Wait, holy fuck! That's Snack.
That's Snack, yeah. That's what the
I haven't seen a picture of him in a while. He's way bigger.
You got to call the fire department and come rescue the kitty cat.
Yep. So he ended up. He looks like a bobcat here, but
Hey, Crystal.
He ended up squeezing himself between the fence I have for the cats and the wooden lats, and he managed to get down. But this is him figuring out how to get down. A little shit. He's a real curtain climber. He's something else. We got to give one.
We had the traveling vet come because our gato's old and the missus didn't think it would go too well and everything, And believe it or not, she came in and they wrapped the cat up in the towel and they went in the bathroom and with her and stuff and blah, 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 blah. And the cat actually did okay.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. She let her look in her mouth and everything. It was unbelievable. So,
Okay, guys, we got a shooter in the head. I got to get out in the woods today. It's too nice out there.
Keep an eye out for Bigfoot.
Oh, Bigfoot and cougars and fucking coyotes and whatever.
All right.
Okay,
Bigfoot.
We're gonna wrap her up. I'm sorry you guys are having a hell of a good conversation, but I got to go outside. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Goodbye, cruel world. We're gonna end the stream. Yeah. Goodbye, guys.